Hello, everyone. Appreciate you tuning in to a special edition of Straight from the Source with David Mitchell. Oh, I have a wonderful show. My guest today is one of the most phenomenal young, up and coming coaches in the state of Ohio. Not only that, I could probably go as far, and I will, is stating that he's one of the top young basketball minds in all of the country, for that matter, in the high school ranks, college ranks, or professional ranks. He's a really, really solid, phenomenal young basketball coach. Glad to have him on the show. I'm going to bring him in and just let him tell us a little bit about himself. And for my viewers out there, we appreciate you tuning in, and those who are going to watch the show tonight, this evening live, or that'll be tuning in on YouTube and Twitter, Instagram, and other various places, YouTube. We appreciate you as well. Without further ado, let me bring my guest into the show. Ladies and gentlemen, let me please introduce state championship coach Brooke from Centerville High School in the suburbs of Dayton, Ohio, where he has built a phenomenal powerhouse basketball program. Coach Cups, welcome to the show, Straight from the Source with David Mitchell. How are you today?
I'm good, David. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Listen, I appreciate you being here. It's an opportunity for me, definitely. Coach, I'm going to get right into it. Can you please tell us a little bit about how you got into coaching and a little bit about your background regarding where you're from and just how you got into coaching?
Yeah, so my dad was a high school teacher and a high school coach. He coached baseball. My mom was a bus driver. So, I was pretty much just around school and high school all the time. Ran around the high school with my dad when I was young growing up. So, teaching and coaching kind of came naturally as kind of the direction I was going to go. Basketball became a passion for me in middle school. We had a really good high school coach that came to St. Paris Graham, where I graduated from. And he kind of got, his name was Tim Casey, who was at Upper Arlington most recently, but he was the coach at Graham. And when I was in middle school, and got me really excited about basketball. And then I was fortunate enough to have a great high school coach in Dave Zeller, who was played at Miami of Ohio and played in the NBA for a little bit. Just a phenomenal basketball mind. And then, ended up playing in college for Damon Goodwin, who was another great mentor, great player, excellent coach, tough guy that, taught me a lot about how to do things and how to go about things the right way. So, the combination of my dad, Coach Casey, Coach Zeller, and Coach Goodwin, really set me up to be in a position to where, I'd at least, took me a while to figure some stuff out, but at least put me in a position to do things the right way and to try to hold a high standard.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. You list here, Dad. Obviously, we want to shout out Dad. You list here Coach Zeller, as well as Coach Kelly and Damon Goodwin. I'm a big University of Dayton fan. I've had plenty of coaches on the show. I've had former players and things on the show, current players, Deron Holmes, Deuce Holmes, University of Dayton. He's been on the show. Coach Wade has been on the show. Coach Wade O'Connor, let's give a shout out to our mutual friend, Coach Wade. We appreciate you so much, Coach. Listen, what was it like playing for Damon Goodwin? Was he showing you exactly how to pull up like he used to, Coach?
Yeah, so I played for Coach Goodwin. I was his really first recruiting class. So when I was there my freshman year, Coach Crosey, who is the coach at Wittenberg now, was one of his assistants, and Coach Holwager, who played at Wittenberg also, was one of his assistants. So Coach Goodwin was very young and very fiery when I was there. And that hasn't changed a whole lot, but I learned a ton from him. The thing that always stood out to me was just, Coach Goodwin's just toughness and his relentless mentality in terms of how he approached the game. And, soft was not going to be tolerated around him. And, that's definitely carried over to something that I have a strong belief in terms of how I coach. I think early on, Coach got frustrated with us because we weren't him. Like, we couldn't do the stuff that he could do. I was playing. There's a reason I was at Capital and not at UD, and trying out for the Phoenix Suns. So it took him a little while to accept that part of it, but it was a great experience. Met a lot of great people. Had a good career there. Enjoyed playing, and the opportunity to play college basketball, I think, at any level is something to be grateful for.
Absolutely. And it's some phenomenal basketball. Let's point that out at the NAIA level, at the Division III levels, at the National Junior College Athletic Association levels, the Christian schools levels. I found that it's basketball. If you're good, they're going to find you. And like you say, Coach, it's some good basketball everywhere. And Coach Goodwin has done such a phenomenal job. I'm going to shout him out in his career. And I know he did phenomenal things with Capital University. Now, you play ball, you're a former ball player. So that helps, in my opinion, because you know the game. Not saying that you can't coach, and we see phenomenal coaches today that haven't played the game. But do you think, having been a former player yourself and translating it into becoming eventually a head coach, a successful head coach, do you think it has something to do with your success by you playing the game?
I don't think it hurt. I think it obviously helps you when you were in a position that's familiar. So you're coaching guys that you've been in that spot too. I think that's helpful for you. I also think, for me, I was a point guard, and I was like, my role in teams was always to lead. I like scoring, I was okay. Passing, I was okay. Defending, I was okay. But where I was pretty good was at leading other guys and trying to get the most out of them as teammates. And so I think that aspect of my experience probably helped me more than anything.
Wow. I appreciate that very honest answer. In light of you becoming let's go straight to it. When you first got into coaching, where did you start out?
So when I got out of college, I came back to I went to Capital. I came back to St. Paris, which is about 45 minutes, an hour from Columbus. And I basically asked my high school coach, Dave Zeller, he was retiring that year. And I just asked him to come back for a year so I could learn how to coach. I let coach basketball. My dad had coached some baseball, and was coaching baseball at the time. But, and I asked Coach Z to come back, who was the best basketball coach that I had ever been around in terms of his knowledge. I mean, he was incredible. And so he unretired and came back for 1 year.
Wow.
Basically let me help him. We weren't very good, or we didn't win very many games. I learned a ton. And then he retired the next year, and I was fortunate enough, it was probably I would have been my second year out of college, and I got the head coaching job at Graham, probably the only place in the country that would have hired me. I was 22 years old, I think, 23,
wow.
22, 23. And, had no idea what I was doing. I was terrible, but I was passionate and an alumni from Graham. So that helped me. And I was going in to teach some math and coach some basketball.
Well, that sounds like a wonderful story. You was a young, I'm going to say at this time, almost, it seemed as though you went from almost a young boy. It was sort of indoctrinated, from dad and whatnot. And then your coaches. And then all of a sudden you made the call. And I find that amusing and amazing that you made the call. You knew, that's the problem today. We have to get our young kids to realize exactly what they want to do, and you had that. You had an instinct inside you. Listen, coach, look, Coach Z, I'm ready to become a coach. And for him to take the time to come back after retirement and to coach you up, that was, I mean, come on. I mean, now it's a situation where it's all came full center and you're just doing wonderful. Um, with that being said, okay, you go to Graham, your alumni. So did you feel any pressure at Graham being alumnus to try to make Graham better?
At that time, I don't even think I was mature enough or old enough to think about the pressure with it. It was just, I just wanted to, like my first several years of coaching was just, I was just trying to emulate other people that were good at it and trying to win as many basketball games as I could. And I like the real impact and the understanding of what coaching was really all about I hadn't arrived at that revelation or that understanding at that point. So I was really just kind of mimicking other people at that time.
Okay. Well, I know one thing, you got people mimicking you now. I guarantee you got people mimicking you now as we move forward. So you got your start over at Graham and you're doing things there. From that, tell me how this opportunity, and I want to take you back. I graduated in 1983. And when I was coming up, as we spoke before, off camera, Centerville always fielded a pretty successful team, but I've never seen them go to the levels that Coach Cups, that you have taken them to. Take us back to day one when you started at Centerville High School for the Centerville Elks as head coach. Tell me some of your goals. And I know that you already accomplished at least one, but what was it like when you first arrived there, and have you accomplished most of your goals?
Yeah. So when I left Graham, I had decided that I would really only leave Graham for a few places because, I was an alumni there. We had, elevated the basketball program to a pretty good level. We went to the Final Four for the first time. We had back-to-back undefeated seasons, and we were good. Like our basketball program was good, and so there wasn't a whole lot of places I really wanted to go from there. There was some stuff. I was the athletic director for my last 5 years there, and so it wasn't really like I was out like hunting jobs. It was more, I knew I didn't want to continue being an athletic director because my kids were getting old enough to be involved in stuff. And I recognized that I was missing things that they were doing. So I knew I wanted to go back in the classroom and just go back to just teaching and coaching rather than ADing and coaching. So that led me to just, keeping an eye out for jobs that my last year as the AD that I might be interested in. And Centerville came open, and Coach Staley had been at Centerville for a long time and, had a successful program. The guys, they've always played hard. They were well coached. They were always, disciplined and tough, things that were important to me, and a place that I felt like, if you got the culture right and you challenged them and you put them in situations, I thought they could compete at a really high level. And so, when that job came open, I applied for it and, interviewed and stuff and was fortunate enough to get it. But as far as the goals go coming in, I mean, the way we set goals completely different than a state championship or anything like that. I mean, I just feel like the goal of winning a state championship that should just be understood if you're coaching high school basketball. Like, I don't know why else, like you're playing a game. If I'm playing checkers, like my goal is to win the game of checkers. Yes. Like, that's it. Like, that means I'm trying to win. Yes. And now, as a high school coach, there's a whole lot more that I think supersedes and is more paramount and important than winning a state championship or winning a game or whatever it is. And so our focus when we went down there was really just to establish a culture and, and try to intentionally instill our values and our purpose within a group of guys that were willing to invest the time and effort into it and embrace the challenges that we wanted to put in front of them. And we were just going to kind of let the chips fall where they may. Like if that led to winning a state championship, great. If it never led to winning a state championship, that's fine too. Like I had released that a long time ago. And really, honestly, Coach Zeller's the reason for it, because Coach Zeller never won a district championship. And he coached for 30 years. He never won a district championship, coached most of those years at Piqua. And in my opinion, he was one of the best coaches I had ever been around. And so that made me view the whole idea of, you know, you've arrived when you win a district or a state. Like I was done with that by the time I got to Centerville. And so that freed me to just kind of just do my thing the way I thought it should be done and try to impact kids and, you know, put the best program and culture together that we could, you know. And we've been really fortunate at Centerville to have incredible kids and incredible parents that have bought into, you know, doing things a lot. Like we do stuff a lot different than a lot of other people. And, you know, it's something that our kids, I think, benefit from and have embraced. And so, you know, just grateful for being in a situation that allows that to happen.
Wow. That's phenomenal. I appreciate you sharing. Shout out to Coach Staley, another phenomenal Ohio legend in the coaching ranks. The Staley family, I know, going all the way back when I was in school to Trotwood, Madison. And I think, you know, even beyond there, you know, with the Coach Staley and that family, phenomenal leader as well. Your thoughts on, like, today, you're dealing with kids now. When I look at the game has changed so much. The physicality is different. When I played, you know, Coach Cups, you could get one of these elbows like it wasn't nothing, right? Yeah. It has changed a lot. It's a lot more spacing. There are bigs. When I say a big, I mean guys 6'6", 6'7", and up in high school now that are shooting the, you know, 3-point shot like it's a layup. Your thoughts on the way the game has changed and your thoughts on, like, can you share a little bit about how you look at players and you evaluate? I had a question that came in terms of, like, how do you particularly, is it a certain player that you scout in particular for your program?
You know, like we're like in high school, we're in a position where obviously we can't recruit guys, but like in terms of guys coming up through our program and fitting into our system and our style of play, like, I mean, they're pretty clear that, I mean, we like tough, hard-nosed, smart guys. Like you got to be like, you got to be willing to compete. Yes. Like soft and passive just doesn't allow us to compete at the level we want to compete at. And honestly, the amount of adversity and the work that we expect from our guys, if you're soft, that you usually stop playing before you get to the varsity level, just because. And it doesn't necessarily mean people that stop playing are soft. That's not what I'm saying. Guys make choices to go in other directions, which is fine. But, you know, if you're not willing to embrace a whole lot of work and be challenged and to face failure head on, then our program is going to be a struggle for you, just because we're going to put you in those situations consistently. And I just think it's, forget the basketball part of it. I think it's a healthy way to develop into a person that can function and be productive in society, can be a good father, a good friend, a good dad. And so, you know, I think the thing that I see with kids now more than when I started coaching 23 years ago is their ability to handle failure and struggle. And I think a lot of that is, you know, in an effort, what we pass off a lot of times as good parenting, or we think as parents as being good, as rescuing and saving our kids from obstacles and challenges. It's really crippling them a lot of times because they don't develop the skills and the resiliency to continue on when things are tough, or when they fail and they got to get up over and over, or when somebody's playing in front of them, or so they're not getting the minutes, or the coach isn't like, I think we have this tendency now in society to try to rescue our kids from that, or snowplow people out of the way and clear the path for them. Where 20 years ago, it was, it was like that's your issue. You got to go deal with it. Go talk to the coach. You need to work harder. It was a lot of that responsibility was placed back on the kid. And I think that's healthy, obviously with support of the parents. And we're lucky to we've got like this little pocket of families and culture that is allowing that to still take place, and I feel very lucky that to be in that situation.
Well, we got that good reference system going. Listen, y'all know you hear it on Straight from the Source. I'm gonna make sure I've shouted this out. It's going out on Twitter and everywhere, right? Listen, if you're in that Dayton, Ohio area, if you're moving to the Dayton, Ohio area, that Centerville, Suburban area there, this is a phenomenal coach. This is a phenomenal high school. You're going to have your academics in order, because I know that Coach Cups is about academics first and foremost, and you're going to have your tough hat. Bring your hard hat. You're going to go to work when you go to play for Coach Cups, and the result is going to be winning, and more winning. Coach, those practices, I'm hearing a lot about these 6 a.m. practices. When Colin came over and he came in, I was talking with him and Coach Wade on the show, tell us a little bit about that. It's sort of almost like I look at you as sort of like you run your program, and this is no disrespect to the military or disrespect to you, but I look at it as a discipline program. Is that fair to say? And tell us a little bit about what you do with those players at 6 o'clock in the morning. Don't tell us what you're doing, but how did that come about?
Yeah, so I mean, it's something I did as a player. I used to go in and shoot before school. My dad was a teacher, so I could always get into school before, and it's something just I've kind of carried with me forever. For us at Centerville, we did it at Graham when I coached there. At Centerville, it's taken on kind of a new life. The first year I was there, we had one player every day. One player, Joey Weingartner. He was a really good player. Actually played at Capital for Coach Goodwin.
Hey, shout out Joey.
And he was kind of the godfather of our breakfast club. And I just kept showing up. I'd open the gym every day. Joey would keep showing up. And then, his junior and senior year, he had a couple people joining, and a few more guys came. And it's just become part of who we are. We work out at 6:15 every morning. Our guys do. And it's not mandatory. I don't make guys come to it. Some guys come every day. Some guys come 3 days a week. Our message to our players is just like, it's a life lesson. Like, if your work needs to match your aspirations. So if you aspire to play college basketball, if you aspire to get a Division I scholarship, which, 3% of high school basketball players get, well, then you better be working in that 3%. Like, don't want a Division I scholarship and then expect that you never work out in the mornings. Like, you don't go to AP calculus class and think you're going to get an A+ and never study outside of class.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. So how does that make sense in basketball? And so, we just tell them that. And now, now it's just become what we do. Like, if you play basketball at Centerville, you come work out at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's what you do. And, again, I've had a lot of coaches ask me about that. And I've had coaches tell me that their schools won't let them do that. I'm in a great situation. All of the administrators at our school have all been coaches. Our district and our community embrace the value of that sacrifice and that hard work, and how that contributes to overall education of a kid. It's not just about basketball. That's what I think a lot of people don't understand is, like, yes, we're working on basketball, but what we're doing is we're building a discipline and a habit that you're willing to do extra work. And that's a lifetime habit that will contribute to your success far beyond basketball. And so, if you want something, you work for it. That's how it is. And I think too many times nowadays, we want to make excuses, or we want to allow for these caveats for it. No, it's hard. Like, it's hard to do what we do, and you have to work in order to be able to do that. And so we're not going to act like it. We're going to put our head down and work. And, coaches will say, well, what about day before a game? What about day of a game? What about, like, it's every day you eat, man. That's the days we work out, the days you eat. So, that's how we do it. I'm not saying that's how you got to do it. I'm just saying that's how we do it. So
I appreciate that, because listen, it's an example, first of all, of holding young kids accountable, because I'm of the thought process that a lot of kids today are entitled to a lot of things, coach, and we need more coaches like yourselves to hold them accountable. If these kids are getting up that early in the morning to come play basketball, what that's showing me is you got some kids that's saying, hey, I want to get ahead of the game. I want to get the early bird catch the worm. I want to get this under my belt. Whatever coach might have for me today, whatever it is, if it's going to make me get an inch better, 2 inches better, this is what I want to do with my game. So I really appreciate you. And you're getting a lot of it's a lot of waves around the U.S. about you and your basketball methods, and we appreciate you for that. Now, moving right along, Coach, you've only lost, I want to look, I think, have you lost 3 or 4 games in the last 2 years?
Yeah, we've lost a few more. I think 2 years ago we lost 3. Last year we lost 1. This year we lost 4. So.
I thought it was somewhere 5, 6 games in the last few years. Listen, you guys hear that? 5 to 6 losses over the last few years. This Centerville High School Elks basketball team, boys basketball team, is becoming a national power. Now, let's talk a little bit about coaching your son. Do you ever, as a father, as a dad, can you separate coaching, Gabe, and say, well, I know I'm coach now, but is it sort of hard because you're gonna always be dad?
Yeah, it is hard in the moment because you're just kind of coaching him, and I usually take on the coaching role rather than the dad role.
Okay.
And so it's kind of how I've always been.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I've tried to do the last few years, I don't think I was very good at it his freshman year for sure. But what I've tried to do the last few years is just be really intentional about appreciating the time together, the moments, the opportunity to always be able to watch him play. The rebounding for him, just trying to make sure, because for us, that's a special time. That's what we've always done. I mean, Gabe has been, in the gym with me at practice since he was 3 years old, and, riding around the ball cart and, talking in huddles and, everything. And so, for us, I think it's kind of unique, but it's a coach. He's a coach's kid. I think it's a pretty cool way to grow up. I think he's loved it. And for us to be able to spend that time together has been pretty special. And, obviously, to have the success that we've had and, be able to see all the things that we've seen, and the places that basketball has taken, Gabe and I together has been unbelievable. And we've our schedule, I know you were talking about winning games, but we've played a national schedule for a public high school the last 3 or 4 years. We've played anybody that will play us in the summer, in the winter. We will go wherever and we will play whoever in that. And it's part of that whole mentality of not shying away and putting ourselves in adverse situations. We want to know how we're going to handle that. iron sharpens iron, man. Like we are grinding that thing and finding out who we are, and knowing we know exactly who we are by the end of the year, whether we win the state or not. Like we know exactly who we are because of the challenges we put in front. And it's been really cool from a father standpoint to see Gabe have to respond to that, and see his persistence and diligence in trying to continue to just keep battling and keep fighting when things are tough.
Well, he's a phenomenal player. Obviously, has a phenomenal coach and as a phenomenal dad. Is it a feeling of now joy? Is it a feeling of sadness? Is it a feeling as I don't know exactly what I'm feeling right now, because you're about to lose your son. And for those that are listening that may not know, Coach Cup's son, Gabe, was the Ohio Mr. Basketball in 2022, I believe. Well, last season, we can say. Mm-hmm. Now, they won the state championship as well, took home the crown, Centerville High School, won state. This year we go back, we get to the Final Four, and that's where we ended our run. There's a lot of coaches have been back to the state, coach. I got a feeling you're gonna be going back quite a bit. Because you listed, you play anybody. You're not afraid. They're disciplined. When you take well coached, you take discipline, and you take good players that have no fear and willing to play against anybody, there you go. State championship, state Final Four. With him going on, Coach, your son going on to Indiana University in the Big Ten, playing for Coach Mike Woodson, a former phenomenal shooter, played in the NBA for many years. I told you I played junior college ball with Keith Smart, who hit the game-winning shot for Indiana in 1987. What do you see for Gabe going over there? Because they could have used him this year in the NCAA tournament. There's no doubt about it. They'd have had Gabe this year. I truly believe Indiana would have advanced further in the tournament. They were lacking some guard play, in just my personal opinion. What you see his future like going over there playing for Coach Woodson and in the Big Ten?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, about whether it's joy or sadness,
yes.
it's definitely joy. I mean, I would be lying if I didn't go say I went through a gamut of emotions and feelings throughout the his senior year, but ultimately it is definitely joy. That, I mean, we've been so blessed and so fortunate to be able to share all those experiences. I mean, to look back on them with anything but appreciation and gratitude would just be, I think, would be sad in itself. Wow. So we're just, I mean, definitely joy and appreciation. As far as Gabe going to IU, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think, he's done, he is, I do think he has worked as hard as he could and put himself in the best position he could put himself in to go in and be successful. Now, whether he will or not, I don't know. I think the things that he does translates to any team at any level, because, he like I talked about, my best asset as a player was being able to lead and Gabe's just way better at it than I was, and he's a way better player. But as far as leading, like, that's what he does. I mean, he is I consider him a connector, is what I call him. Like, he pulls guys together, and he helps teams win. He's like, he wins. Like, he does. He might, in one game he might have 6, but you win. In the next game he might have 26, but you win. Like, he finds ways and does things that translate to winning. And I think that is something that, most coaches want to put on the floor. I think he'll try to help make those guys better. Obviously he's going in playing with great players, and I think he'll figure it out. He'll figure out how he can best contribute and how he needs to fit in and the things that he needs to do to help Indiana be as good as it can be. And, you know, he loves the coaching staff there. We trust him. My wife and I trust them completely with him. And I think, you know, they'll do great things for him. And, you know, and I think it's going to be great for Gabe to be coached by somebody else. I've coached him for a long time. He's heard the same voice, a lot of the same messages. Mm-hmm. And I think he'll thrive in a situation where he's getting fresh new knowledge, fresh new perspectives on things. So I'm looking forward, you know, for that growth for him too.
Wow. It's amazing when you think about it. You had him for so long, and now he's finally getting ready to get coached full-time by another coach. We'll keep our eye on that, and we're going to be supportive there. I know he's going to do phenomenal. Like I said, you know, I've watched this game. He's going to be phenomenal in terms of helping. I think he's going to be a good fit over there in Indiana. Coach Woods is going to be proud to have him. You had another kid that transferred over in this year, Colin O'Connor. Can you speak a little bit about how he his transition was? He spoke a little bit about it on the show. How did you feel Colin did this season? I know he hit some big shots, performed well. I always say, nephew, you can shoot that ball, you know.
Yep.
And he's coming again, same example, from being a coach's son. What was that like coaching Colin O'Connor this season?
Yeah, you know, Colin's basketball IQ and understanding made the transition pretty easy for him in terms of the basketball stuff because he's smart and he understands the game. Mm-hmm. You know, guys that come into our program that are just athletes or not really have a high level of understanding, they struggle because what we do is it's built on so many layers from, you know, third grade on. So Colin made a great transition there. You know, and he's a tough kid. Obviously, you know, Coach Wade's hard on him, and you know, and Kim's hard on him too. Don't let her fool you.
Yes, he can play.
Yeah, and you know, part of it, he accepted the coaching and the intensity of our practices and our competition really well. I think it did take him a little while to adjust to the level, the quantity and level of intensity and work that we expect from our guys. You know, the first time he got up at 6, had practice after school, had weights after practice, and was back at 6 the next morning. I think he was like, whoa, what's going on around here? But, you know, he loves the game. So that part of it, he just, you know, everybody, that's the thing about it. He ran into, or he came into a culture where nobody else, like, he's looking around and everybody else is just like, yeah, that's what we do. Yeah. Like they don't bat an eye at that. And so Colin's like, okay, I guess that's what I'm doing.
Right.
So, you know, but no, he was really accepted well by the team. And, you know, I think my biggest compliment to Colin is that he made a decision to leave a program where he was shooting 25 times a game, averaging 25 points, scoring a crazy amount, to come to our program where, I mean, his shots were cut in half, more than in half, and had a completely different role on our team than he had before, and never complained about it, never sulked about not getting shots or scoring this amount of points or getting this, like, just came in and tried to fit in and figure out what he could do best to help the team. And, you know, that's a rare quality in a kid. I mean, I think it speaks a lot to Kim and Wade, and it speaks a ton to, you know, Colin's humility and really just desire to win, because that's what he just kept saying in a lot. I just want to win. I just want to win. And so, you know, I have a ton of respect for him. Great kid, love him to death. Can't wait to see what the future holds for him. And, you know, he's going to be successful because of his willingness to do whatever it takes for the team to be successful.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think that because, again, just like yourself and your son, Gabe's, that's that father-son relationship. And when he goes home, he's dealing with basketball 24/7. So his thing is this: I know I got to get it right, because not only am I going to have to deal with Coach Cups, I'm gonna have to deal with Dad over here, Coach O'Connor. So,
Right.
and we know, and Dad is about his business. And I just thought that I would ask that question. You had another kid that transferred in from Chaminade Julienne, correct?
Yeah, Jonathan Powell.
Yes, Powell. Can you speak a little bit about on his transition there as well? He's a phenomenal kid, phenomenal player.
Yeah, JP's situation was a little weird. Like his mom lives in Centerville. Like they had lived in Centerville. His younger brother had gone to our for a couple years when they moved down from Akron. And when he came initially, he would like they sent him to CJ, and Mom just said, you know, we don't want to send him to private school anymore. We're just going to send him to the same school as his brother Taj. And so he came to Centerville. You know, he's a great player, great length and athleticism, shoots the ball really, really well, dynamic scorer. And, you know, and similar to Colin, like he didn't really bat an eye at the work. Like that's always kind of my judge when guys come in and they kind of hesitate on the work, then it probably ain't going to work out for you because that's not changing for us. So it's like you're either going to embrace that or you're going to fight that for a long time. And, you know, in JP's, you know, to kind of give him the respect he deserves. He's been great about that. He's willing to work, has embraced that part of it completely. I think he's growing as a player. We have him playing off the ball a lot more this year than maybe he did at CJ because we had some guys that could facilitate and get him shots that way. And so learning to play without the ball, I think, helped him kind of advance his game a little bit. And, you know, he's getting better and better defensively. On the ball, he got to be pretty good. He's still got some work to do off the ball, but you know he's a willing learner and a coachable kid, and you know, he was great to have.
Wow, we appreciate you sharing that. We're going to look forward, and we're going to be following the progress of a lot of the Centerville Elks. Again, they're a team that is playing a national caliber schedule. You guys, listen. The reason why I mentioned that, Coach. I'm out here in the 757 area code. Been out this way almost 15 years now from Washington, D.C. down. The basketball in the Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, when I got out here, I said, man, I'm out here somewhere like, you know, from Dayton, like in Ohio, because they feel as though like some of the best basketball is right in their backyard, right down the street from me here. I had him on my show as the chairman of all AAU basketball, Mr. Boo Williams. And we had a wonderful time on the show, but I watch a lot of basketball down at the Sportsplex. And have you ever thought about like where you guys would rank, or like the state of Ohio? You know, when you think of great basketball and you think of, let's throw football in as well, because I know they do here. There's no way that I think that I'm going to throw out Ohio. I still think we're in that like top 5, 6, 7. I know when I was coming up, we always said top 5. I would assume it would be somewhere in there. You got Ohio, you know, you got Texas. You know, I know Georgia has come up a lot recently. You know, California, Florida. These, you know, got a lot of basketball and football play. What do you think about where the state of Ohio ranks now in terms of basketball talent as it relates to, you know, the Virginias, all these different places? We right next to Carolina down here too. So we got a lot of people. I be going out the house, man, you rooting for VA today, or you rooting for VC, you know, and I'm up here in the VCU land. I'm always rooting for Dayton. So, you know, it's big. What's your thoughts, and where do you think the level of competition is at now in the state of Ohio with basketball for high school?
Yeah, I mean, we've been fortunate enough over the past 4 or 5 years to see a lot of basketball around the country. You know, whether it's with Gabe and AAU stuff, or even with our high school team. Like, I'll put the combination of Ohio's talent and coaching against anybody. Like, we're down, let's roll. Like, I'm not like,
thanks, coach. Thanks, coach.
We're
not lost the beat.
Yeah, we're not like, you know, we get that. Some like we We ain't scared of New York. We ain't scared of the DMV. We ain't scared of Texas. Like, let's go. We'll play. We're fine.
I appreciate that. Oh my gosh, man. I might have to go down there and I might have to call Boo up. Matter of fact, I got his phone number in my phone. I would love to see somehow you guys come and play against one of his teams over here, you know, or one of the teams down here in this in the Hampton Roads area. It would be maybe something we'll discuss later on. I don't know who handles scheduling and all of them things, but I'd love to see Centerville come down here and smoke somebody.
We'll come play ball. We ain't scared.
All right. I know a few people. I might see what I can do regarding that.
All right.
Before we get ready to sort of end the show, I wanted to say one other thing, and then I'm going to let you promote anything else. And especially we're going to talk about the trip to Italy and the U.S. team. But, Coach, I want to say this. There have been, when I say these two coaches, I just want to see what comes to your mind, okay? Mike Haley Sr., okay? Phenomenal coach at Roth High School, Dunbar High School, if I'm not mistaken, Portsmouth High School, and Joe Petroselli, phenomenal head coach at Ultra High School. When I say those names, what do they resonate with you at all?
Oh yeah. I coached against Petro a couple times when I was at Graham and at Centerville. So I've coached against Petro a couple times. Coach Haley, I had never coached against, but I'm familiar with his success, and he's a legend in Dayton.
Wow. So I mentioned those two. I mentioned those two because I want to state it right here live. I'm letting people know, Coach Cups. When I put Coach Petroselli over here and we got Coach Haley over here, I got Coach Cups in the middle as someone who is rising to those levels. Okay, he's rising to those levels. We're gonna speak it. I'm one of them people. I believe in manifestation. You got to speak it, Coach, to believe it. And we're gonna put it in the atmosphere. We got more state championships coming. If not 2023-24 season, the following season, because you want to continue to stay on track. And that's how Coach Petro did it. That's how Coach Haley did it year after year. When I was in high school, 1981, that state championship team for Rolfe, played against them, phenomenal. Came right back, won it again 1982. And I know over at Ultra, Coach Petroselli, he set the tone in the 1970s, with the Paxson brothers and all of those guys. Jack Zimmerman, who was also on my show, a phenomenal player from the area. I just wanted to give you your flowers while you're here, because I know that you got several more championships up your sleeve, Coach Cups. Now,
I appreciate your faith.
Oh man, I'm telling you, I got that faith, and I surely gonna manifest this to happen. I truly believe it. Hey, it's a wonderful thing. I'm up here, and I was like, man, I want to get a ticket to a game, but I've been working so much, right? Coach Wade said, "Don't worry, David, I got you. I'll make sure you get in, because I know that Centerville, it's a tough ticket now. Yeah. It's a tough ticket now." Coach, what's your thoughts before you go real quickly? I just got to throw a few fun things out there just real quickly. You coach high school basketball, but let's say, for example, you got so much success going. One of these coaches called Coach Cups. Man, listen, a lot of times it's not extended to the high school coaches right away to become a head coach, but I want you to come on my staff as an assistant. I need you. Then I want you to handle recruiting for me. What's your thoughts in me saying that fictitiously, but sort of like hypothetically, it could happen down the line, because I see you're going to be so successful. When you got to a coaching job as an assistant at a Division I school and you had to handle recruiting, what's your thoughts on the transfer portal now? It's a lot of movement. Some coaches are frustrated with it. Some coaches are like, man, listen, I'm just going to regroup. What's your thoughts on what the coaches are dealing with the portal out here?
Man, it's a tough deal. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think it makes it too easy to bounce when things don't go your way.
Yes.
Kind of like and I'm definitely not saying like it's not the right move for some people, and sometimes I'm more of a like, stay loyal, stay faithful to that, and try to figure things out. But I think sometimes it lends itself to allowing people to make pretty rash decisions before they really exhaust the opportunities and the way to deal with the adversity in that place. I also don't think it necessarily, I think the quantity of it at this point, you have to look at it through a neutral lens. Like it used to be, I felt like it used to be transfers had like a little negative connotation to a little negative, thought behind them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can look at it like that anymore. I think you've got to be a little bit more open and a little bit more neutral with when you're looking at them. What I would be looking at from a coaching standpoint, I would still be trying to I think you got to get tough dudes. Yeah. I don't know how you evaluate that, but man, like we got a saying in our program, like the toughest team wins always. Like the toughest team always wins. And so trying to figure out within that transfer portal, because basically what you're doing, you're speed dating. Like you don't have a chance to really develop those relationships and really understand what makes a kid tick like you do when you're recruiting them out of high school or, for over a course of years. And so I think that would be the part of it that I would really have to be exhaustive in trying to make sure I really understood who this kid was and what was important to him. Because what I wouldn't take is the kid bouncing so he gets more shots, and bouncing because he just didn't like coach made him like stuff where guys are like central figures in their team and then enter the transfer portal. That's a major red flag for me. Like I got like like the Caleb Love situation. Like I'm not just like you're going. I'm not saying he's a bad kid. I don't know anything about him, but like I'm going to have to find some stuff out before I'm offering you a role on our team. Because like for me, in the way we do things, like team chemistry and your ability to play together within an organization, within a team, that's paramount. Like that, because that speaks to your humility. And if humility's lacking, being a good teammate ain't going to happen.
Absolutely. But coach, you know what? It's tougher on coaches today. It's a lot for you guys, even at the high school level, because with your success that you're having, don't be surprised if one day that phone gets to calling and, look, coach, we need you, Brooke, we need you as an assistant, and nigga, put the money out there. You're going to be dealing with this back and forth. And I'm like you, I don't like the portal as much. What I do like is name, image, and likeness. I do like the fact that we can get some money for some kids, and hopefully everybody could sort of eat as well. When I look at the high school level, I'm saddened by the fact that a kid could be the Greater Dayton Player of the Year out of Centerville High School, make all Greater Dayton, be the Player of the Year, right? Used to be, if you was the all Greater Dayton Player of the Year, long as you had your grades in order, you were going to go to school somewhere. Somebody was going to find a scholarship for you somewhere if you wanted to play. It's sort of hard. The City League Player of the Year, you almost have to be, one of the top 3 or 4 or 5, maybe 10 players in your state to automatically pick where you really want to go. And a lot of the seniors, what I'm saying is, coach, they're getting left behind. Some of the lesser, players that may be going to, a Division II school or NAIA, and it makes it harder on coaches to try to place those kids because of the portal. They're taking kids that may have a little bit of experience.
Yeah, that is definitely true. I'm seeing that right now. I mean, Colin's an example of that. Like Colin has been hurt by the portal for sure. His
Yeah,
recruitment has been hurt by the portal.
absolutely.
And so yeah, that there's no question that's a major factor. And you can't even blame the college coaches because like they're going to go get a kid that's already played 2 years. Like the kid's a man now. Like
Yeah, you can't blame them.
no, you can't blame them. I mean, they've got to, they're trying to put together the best team that they can. It's just unfortunate that, in 2 years, the guys that are getting passed over right now are going to be those, those low D1 guys, low
Yes.
mid-major guys that are now moving up to it. So it's like everything's getting stacked back a little bit. But, I look at a lot of that stuff. I try to just withhold judgment on everything just in terms of a personal way to live. And so I think it's like anything else. Like it is what you make of it. Nothing is good or bad. You make it so. So roll with it, figure out how to use it the best you can, or however you want to deal with it, and move on.
Appreciate you sharing that, Coach. And we're going to do all we can. Want you to keep in mind, I have a consulting business. And with that consulting business, straight from the source, I make sure you get information on it. I'm sort of trying to be that middleman that wants to help the kids, if they having some trouble and, find a school, and that's my thing. I was running youth basketball camps here in the area, but I have so much time to deal with also working. But I want to help kids get in school and consult because, as you say, it is definitely something needed because as one head coach and a staff, it's only so much you can do to continue to, live your life and try to help these kids get recruited when they're being overlooked by so many colleges with the transfer portal. So just wanted to throw that out at you as well. And before we close, Coach, listen, shout out. I want everybody to know right now I am speaking with a championship coach, which you already know he's a state championship coach. But tell us about the trip. Coach just came back from Italy, and I believe it was 9 countries represented over in Italy. And Team USA, in which you coached, won it all. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience over in Italy and the players that played for Team USA and how that went and how you feel about the medals? And if you want to show any of the medals, you can show it. You want to show a state championship banner, we want to see it. You got a state championship ring, put it up there. We ready to see it.
No, so out and it's put together by Bobby Courtson, who is he lives in Columbus, and he's done this for like 25, almost 30 years. Mm-hmm. He's had several NBA guys. LeBron's played in it twice, and several guys, Jackson Hayes.
Yes. And
so he puts together a great group of guys, and it's called Team Ohio, but it's not really necessarily just Ohio. We just take a group over, and this year he asked me to coach it. His son Jared, who is now I think he's the Dobo at West Virginia, so he couldn't coach the team, so he asked me to coach it this year. And so, we had Gabe and Reed Shepard. So Reed and Gabe played AAU together all the way through, they're best friends, and so it was cool to have those two back together. Reed's going to Kentucky. And then we had Miles Hyde, which is he's from Washington, and he just kind of knew them somehow or another. He's going to San Diego State. And then we had a couple local guys, Colin White, who's from Ottawa Glandorf, who's going to be a senior. Those first 3 I said are graduating seniors. Now Colin's going to be back. He's a junior, going to be a senior. Dom Akins, who is from Walnut Ridge in Columbus, he's going to be a senior. Sam Whitaker is from a school there in Columbus also. And then I'm forgetting Matt Butler, who graduated from Upper Arlington, and I'm forgetting one. Landon Vanderwalker, who goes to school there in Columbus. He's actually only a sophomore, so he was the youngest guy on our team. Wow. But we went out to it's called the Jet Lasoni tournament in Lasone, Italy. It was awesome. It was really, really good teams. There were 8 or 9 countries. Dubai had a team. Germany had a team. Canada had a team. We played a couple Italy teams. We played played I think 5 or 6 games, and ended up beating one of the top Italian teams in the championship game. And it was, everything's just so different. Like the officiating's different, the lane is different, the 24-second shot clock, and we're going into a completely different environment. The kids stayed with host families, which was really cool to expose them to that. So there was a cool educational piece to it, and, growth personally for the kids. And we were fortunate enough to win it. The crowds were crazy. It was sold out every game. Just one of those other experiences that, like Gabe and I were able to share together, which was really cool. I mean, it was really probably the last time I'll be able to coach him, and to be able to coach him, in a championship game that we win in Italy is not something I would have dreamed up when he was a 3-year-old in the basement dribbling. So it was pretty cool.
Team Ohio wins it all in Italy. Coach Cups, coaching his son Gabe on his way to Indiana, taking home the medals, y'all. Okay? Taking home all the banners. That's what it's all about. We appreciate you and everything that you're doing. This game is now, just like Coach Boo Williams said when he was on the show, the game is international. The game is international now. Those kids are waking up training, Coach. You got to get them up at 6 in. They training in these foreign countries each and every single day. From the time they almost can stand up out the womb. Some of the time they can stand up, they literally have a basketball in their hands over in Europe, practicing 24. And sometimes they practice over there 2 or 3 times a day.
Yep.
It's phenomenal. Hold on here. I think I got one last thing for you, Coach, and I will let you up out of here. We'll make sure I didn't miss anything on you here on my notes. When you see me looking down, you got a big resume. I got all these notes on you over here. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, your book. Tell us before we go, plug your book. Tell us where we can get the book, where it can be found. I know it's got a lot to do with, I want you to speak on, like looking inside and things. Tell us about your book and you being an author, and congratulations on that.
Yeah, I didn't really write it when I first started writing, it was just kind of this thing I was doing, trying to get some stuff out of my head and trying to, I didn't really expect to even share it with anybody. And then, but what it turned into is kind of I would say a leadership, kind of like a biography. I don't know if an autobiography. It's kind of, it's a leadership parable about my journey as a coach, kind of where I started out and how I started out coaching, just focused on winning games, to where, now I view it as instilling values and purpose into kids and focusing on the process rather than the outcome. And so that's where the surrender the outcome, title comes from. Is, now my approach to coaching is much more just, we never talk about winning or losing games. We don't talk about winning league titles, state title, nothing. We just talk about doing things the right way, kind of being a champion instead of winning championships is kind of the mentality behind it. And so, there's some stuff in there about finding my core values and my purpose personally. And I kind of take people through how to do that if they want to do it. But that's been was a big shift in me coaching. Like, our core values for me and our program are tough, passionate, unified, and thankful. And that's everything. That's from our 3rd grade all the way through our varsity. And, those are the things that I want to instill in the kids that I'm coaching. And if they leave our program being really, moving forward in those areas, and we don't win any basketball games, I'm okay. I'm good with it. I feel like I've served my purpose in life. And so, just kind of trying to change the scoreboard for people, getting people to think about, how they want to define success individually rather than relying on society to define success for them, which is always going to wind up as a comparison with other people. So, I don't know if it's any good or not. I wrote it, it's been cool to hear, coaches that when you write something like that, you don't really know if anybody else is going through that same stuff or struggling with those same things. And so it's been cool for me to have coaches and people reach out and say, that it's impacted them and, help them see things differently. So, it's, if it helps somebody, that's great. I appreciate that.
Coach, where can we find the book?
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
Like you can get it off of Amazon. Just Surrender the Outcome.
I'm going to make sure I put this up in my post. This is Surrender the Outcome.
Yep.
Okay. We're going to make sure we put that up because we talking about a phenomenal coach here. We talking about a phenomenal team. Coach Cups has only lost on an average of maybe 1.5, maybe 1.5 games in the last 3 years. He averages about 1 loss a season, ladies and gentlemen, okay, over the last few years, along with the state championship and then a state semifinal. So let me make sure that we put this up here. Surrender the Outcome. This is incredible. So you do a lot of self-reflecting as a coach. And do you meditate as well, Coach?
I do meditate. Yep. I teach a leadership class where we meditate every day, and we meditate with our players sometimes. But I meditate every day.
I figured that.
Yep.
I figured that. Surrender. Let me get my spelling right for Coach get mad at me. Hold on. OU2 Outcome. Okay, there we go. You guys got to get this book. Book is on Amazon. Yeah. In closing, is there anything else that you got that you want to speak about or that you may have coming up or that you want to invite people from the 9372? You got any camps coming up or anything like that in the futures here that you want to speak about before I let you go?
No, I'm good. We got our summer camps, but that's on our basketball website, centervillebasketball.com. And that's it. I appreciate you having me on, taking the time to, share some of our stuff and share Centerville basketball.
Man, I appreciate you. I'm going to be down there talking to Boo Williams about you soon. And,
get us on.
Man, I'd love to see if I can get something going on with you guys going up against one of these teams in the area. That's something I'm going to try to see if I can work on. But Coach Cups, I appreciate you. Appreciate you taking your time out to come on the show. It's been an honor and a pleasure. I always say with these interviews, they'll go down in history. We'll go into the metaverse with them. And at least I was able to say that I gave you your flowers while you was here. People always want to wait till, Coach Cups won 5 state championships. He gone on to glory now. No, let's give him his love. That's the thing. Give him his love right now as he's ascending in his journey while he's still a young, incredible coach. We don't want to wait. It's amazing how people, I had a gentleman on my show before I let you go, and he is like a guru of recruiting, but yet he is not in his own state's Hall of Fame. I mean, it is like, what is he? He's put thousands of kids through college and but yet in his own state, he is not in the Hall of Fame. So we ain't gonna worry about that. We putting you in these Hall of Fames right now, Coach Cups. I appreciate you being here. I got your number. I'll be in touch. Talk to you again about some of the minerals that we spoke about, the sea moss and things, and your wife. I always want her to talk with my wife, get them two together. You be blessed. Tell my nephew, tell Gabe, I said, good luck. Uncle Dave wishing him the best at Indiana. I know he's going to do phenomenal. And maybe when Gabe get over there, he might be able to get my interview with Keith quick enough. I've been trying to catch up with Keith for quite a while. As you know, the old legends gonna come back when they see the Mr. Basketball from Ohio come in there. I'm quite sure Keith is gonna want to shake Gabe's hand. But Coach, I appreciate you. You be blessed, and we'll stay in touch.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, you be blessed. Take care,
All right,
y'all. That's Coach Cups, Centerville High School. We are out. We are signing off. We'll see you again with another wonderful show. David Mitchell with Straight from the Source. Y'all be blessed. Take care, Coach.
Thank you.